We're talking push trucks, PA posse, really big right rear wheels, and racing on dirt. From Silver Dollar to Williams Grove, Eldora to Devil's Bowl, and of course, Knoxville. This is Winged Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Now your hosts, Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
Hello again. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire here on Motor Racing Network. We are glad you've joined us talking sprint car racing. It is our favorite time of the week, and we always have such a great time talking to some of our sprint car buds along the way. Erin Evernham and Steve Post here, and today on the program, Ralph Sheheen going to swing by. We're getting closer and closer to the front of the ultimate Knoxville Nationals A-Main. We'll go row number 2 of the four-wide salute. So, of course, we're getting closer and closer to the Nationals. Terry McCarl going to join us. Been a busy and active time for Terry. Of course, he's got his big race at Oskaloosa coming up. We'll talk to T-Mac. Steve Meyer, this is a cool story. I just read the press release. I hope it's a cool story. We don't know Steve, but looking forward to it. He won the IRA race on Friday night up in Wisconsin. And Bruce Ellis going to join us from Sprint Car and Midget Magazine to preview the Knoxville Nationals and probably a little Pennsylvania talk as well.
Of course,
exactly. So how are you? You
good,
doing
very
good?
Yeah.
Now you're in. The Evernham family is in final prep time, getting ready for Knoxville, huh?
Yes, yeah. The old family roadster, the motorhome, is getting all ready. Got serviced, we got to load it up, and it's a lot different going to Knoxville with a 1-year-old. You know, I'm used to going with a race team and a truck and trailer, and now it's a motorhome and. All right, I need to bring diapers and wipes and all this other. It's a different type of packing.
Yeah, that's just for Ray. Exactly.
Well, that too.
A 1-year-old and a husband. You know,
exactly.
That is full-time
Times
work.
have changed.
Yes, indeed. No doubt about it. It is really cool. We have a lot going on at Knoxville. We might just well mention Arctic Cat Wing Nation going to be there each and every night, 6 o'clock Knoxville time, right on the main stage in the Midway area is going to be different in Knoxville this year, and we'll be on the main stage in the Midway, and we can't wait to get out there. All of our sprint car friends are going to join us, and you're going to sit in a few nights, and then Kendra's going to sit in a few nights at her original seat. So looking forward to it. It is going to be a great week, and we'll have more later in the program on Knoxville. Really, we'll get into the Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery results page, but above and beyond the results, David Gravel is really putting together a good season.
He is.
You take a young, good, talented race car driver, and David, we've noticed David in the last few years has been really good. Teaming him up with Barry Jackson, a veteran sprint car mechanic, has really worked out well. They've
had a stellar year. So many top fives and wins, and I think he's going to be one to watch next week.
Well, exactly. I think that's the case as well. And David Gravel, if we're looking at anybody but shots, if we're in that camp, Donnie's going to be there.
He has his own category.
Yeah, exactly. But David Gravel is putting his name out there.
Contender.
I think so. Really, really cool. Let's take a look at the Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery results page. David Gravel did win at Wilmot on Saturday night, so scored the victory for the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars. Arctic Cat All-Star Circuit of Champions, they had the I-79 Summer Classic, which was presented by our friends at Classic Ink. Friday night, Dale Blaney. Man, it's been one of those years where last year it seemed like every time we turned around, Dale would win. It's been a little rougher for Dale this year, but he scored the win.
Yeah, only a handful.
Yeah, bless his heart. Saturday night in Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway was rained out. Sunday, Tri-Cities Raceway, Craig Kinzer. But the Arctic Cat
that was nice
car.
to see.
Good to see for sure. National Sprint League, man, they had a big weekend. Jackson Motorplex, and what they're doing at Jackson is just phenomenal. And the place is getting rave reviews by everybody.
Social media, everyone raves about it.
We need to take a road trip there. That's what we need to do.
Okay.
Carrie Madsen, $20,000.
That's cool.
I guess it was Fair Week out there too. So, I mean, he got $20,000, and I don't know if Kerry eats funnel cake, but he might have even got some funnel cake or deep-fried Oreos.
Ferris wheel and all.
Yeah, exactly. So, Kerry Madsen, $20,000. The National Sprint League rolled into Knoxville, where his brother Ian won on Saturday night. So good for Ian getting set up for the Nationals. And Sunday at Hancock County Speedway in Britt, Iowa, it was T-Mac.
Yeah.
So the Midwest guys are getting them tuned up as well, and we'll talk to Terry McCarl in just a few moments. MOA had their speed week, and man, what they're doing there in the MOA series is just what they've carved out here in Illinois is just phenomenal. They had Jacksonville Speedway, one Friday night track, and some guys wanted to race more, some guys didn't want to race more, and they put together a modest tour, the MOA series. It's 4 or 5 years old. They just, I think they had their 100th race earlier this year. And then they had the Speed Week, 4 races. Parker Price Miller won 2 of them. A.J. Bruns won 1. Zach Dahm won. Zach won the finale at Macon, Illinois. So I just love what's going on with MOA as they wrapped up their Speed Week. Now we're going to talk to Steve Meyer. He won at Langlade up in Antigo, Wisconsin with the IRA. It's been the first win, I think, in 9 years. Placerville, it was Shane Golubeck scoring the victory for the King of the West Series. Inaugural Mid-Atlantic Crown Weekend for 360s. This didn't go as planned. We talked about all the money on the line. $4,000 Greg Hodnett won, and everyone else got rained out at the Cole Cup at the Utica Rome and Selinsgrove's National Open. Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, presented by MAV TV Motorsport Network. Sunday night at Badlands, it was Brian Clausen, barked it.
Yeah, Insanity Tour.
Insanity Tour, $10,000. Weekly 410 Racing, Mother Nature was the big winner here. I sat at Pocono. Mother Nature won there, too. But I sat at Pocono just chomping at the bit Saturday. We got done with that truck race. I'm ready to go. And no place to go. Who did race, Attica and Byron Reed scored the win. Lernerville, Jack Soderman Jr. scored the win. Now, he's carrying on the family tradition really, really well. They're doing a nice job. Not a shocker, River Cities, it was Mark Dobmeyer. Silver Dollar Speedway, Andy Forsberg. And how about this? Freddie Raymer at Williams Grove.
That was cool.
Really,
cool.
really cool. His first Williams Grove win. Freddie has a win or two at Lincoln.
Yeah.
But this was the first win at the Grove. We'll probably mention that to Bruce Ellis a little bit later on. Saturday night at Badlands, it was Mark Dobmeyer again. He's starting to ruin racing.
Yeah.
He's starting to ruin.
Another contender
yes,
next
he will.
week, too.
Yes, he will. He gets around Knoxville really well. Casey Mack from Greenbush Raceway Park, the NOSA race, and Wayne County Speedway, Cole Duncan picked up the victory. So really, really cool stuff. Great stuff happening in the world of sprint car racing. That is your Classic Inc. screen printing and embroidery race winners results page. Classic Inc., great T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, towels, hats, and more. Corporate events, sporting events, other sports, NASCAR, sprint car racing. I get Sprint Cup and NASCAR. I always get that
tongue
messed
twisters.
up. Yeah. School events, special events. Brian Brown, Donnie Schatz, Danny Dietrich, Danny Lasowski, Brady Bacon, and more. They use Classic Inc. You should too. ClassicIncUSA.com. And just waiting to get started here, getting ready to go to Knoxville. So going to be fun. And one of the things that we've had so much fun doing, we've teamed up on this thing with Speed Sport. And, of course, Speed Sport is the formerly known as National Speed Sport News. It's become Speed Sport. Ralph Sheheen has taken it over, and what they're doing is just phenomenal with the magazine, the monthly magazine. It's one of those things, the day it comes in the mail, just cancel me out for everything for 90 minutes because it's like cover to cover. I'm going to find out what's going on. It's really, really cool. And their television programs that they're doing on MAV TV and their video presentations are great as well. And what we're doing is the 24-driver Ultimate Knoxville Nationals A main starting field. And so we have rolled through a number of the rows. Jeff Swindell, Craig Kinzer, Jay Woodside, Craig Delansky, they're row 6. Jerry Reichert, Roy Robbins, Dick Gaines, Tim Schaefer, row number 5. Stevie Smith, Bobby Allen, Greg Weld, Joey Saldana, row number 4. Last week, we're starting to get into the arguing now. Ron Schumann, Ray Lee Goodwin, Sammy Swindell, and Dave Blaney. That takes us up to position number 9. Joining us from Speed Sport, Ralph Sheheen is on the line. Hello, Ralph. Welcome back to the show.
How you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic. So you realize that you guys are you realize that you're getting ready to separate families, start best friends fighting with each other as we get closer to the top, get offices divided and everything else. You realize what you're doing here.
Host and co-host fighting.
Yeah.
Host and co-host.
I'm sure that's for a lot of reasons, Erin. But
of course.
I fully expect when I get to Knoxville next week that I'm not going to be able to go 10 feet without somebody coming up to me saying, you guys have no idea what you're doing with your top 10. I expect that to happen every 10 feet I go trying to walk through the grandstand area because that's what it's all about. Bench racing with the sprint car fans and everybody putting in their thoughts as to who goes where. And as we've said all the way through this, there is no wrong answer. Everybody's got great reasons for why they think certain guys should be in certain places. I was with Brad Doty yesterday. We were up in Kansas City voicing over 2 of Tony Stewart's Arctic Cat All-Star Circuit of Champions shows. They're going to be airing real soon on the American Sports Network. And Brad and I were getting into it, talking about stuff, and trying to convince each other who should be where. And it's great fun, really great fun.
Really, truly is. I mean, the whole Wing Nation staff, I'm telling you, there was times where it's just like, okay, I need to walk away from this computer because I'm getting ready to send so-and-so a note. You know, I mean, it just was, yeah, exactly. It got a little intense around here, so I can't imagine there. And it's going to be so much fun next week out at Knoxville as we get the final field and put everything together. But, Ralph, lay on us here who we have. Positions 5, 6, 7, and 8. Row number 2, who do we have, Ralph?
Well, I think this is some pretty good names. I mean, you start thinking about who's left, right? Who haven't we mentioned? And it starts to get pretty interesting as to where this thing is going to go as we work our way through the last 2 rows of the field. So let's begin now with outside here of our second row. We're going to go to position number 8. And, boy, what a legendary name this is, Jan Opperman. Now, his stats really are pretty amazing. He made only 6 A-main starts in the Knoxville Nationals, but he finished in the top 5 in all 6, including a victory from the pole in 1971. Get this, he was the runner-up in 69, 73, and 74. Those stats are just incredible when you think about it.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah, not a long time, but boy, was he impactful every time he was there. Eddie Levitt is number 7. Now, he won the Knoxville Nationals in consecutive years. So now we're starting to get into guys that won this multiple times. Well, he did this while driving for 2 different car owners in 74 and 75. And to me, that's a bonus point too, right? You did it with multiple car owners, different machinery, all of that. Eddie made 9 A-main starts during the Nationals with 5 top 5 finishes and 7 top 10. So that's pretty interesting. Now we go on to number 6. Kenny Weld. Kenny Weld's record at Knoxville definitely speaks for itself. He qualified for 9 A-mains, won 4 of them, including his first 2 starts in 64 and 65, then came back and added victories almost 10 years later in 72 and 73, and finished in the top 7 in 8 of his 9 national features. Can you imagine when he shows up and he wins the first 2 Knoxville Nationals he's in?
No.
Boy, what a buzz that must have sent, right?
No doubt. Wow.
Number 5 is number 5 with an M on the side. Mark Kinzer, now he was a late bloomer at the Nationals, but boy, he suddenly figured it out and took off. He grabbed his first of 3 victories in 96 in his 11th start. Driving that 5M, owned and prepped by his legendary father, Carl Kinzer. He won the race again in 1999 and 2000. Mark has 8 top 3 national finishes. His last start was in 2004. So now this is the kind of thing where you could look at it and you could start to debate. I mean, Mark had 3 wins. Kenny Weld had 4 wins. Yet Mark, according to this, based on the average. Again, remember, this is not just with Speed Sport thing. We pulled a bunch of people who are supposedly in the know and took those lists, combined them, and this is what shook out. So over all those people, they got Mark in front of Kenny.
Yep. Yeah, that's that. You know, and I think that beyond the argument, and the argument debating is so much fun. But the fact that we're sitting here in 2016 talking about Eddie Levitt, Jan Opperman, Kenny Weld, and Mark Kinzer. That to me is cool also because it's like a trip to turn 2 at Knoxville. It's like a trip to the Hall of Fame. I just love the fact that these names we're kicking them around here in 2016 on Wing Nation. That's all part of the fun of this thing, Ralph. And I tell you what, it's been so much fun. I enjoyed the research on it when we were doing ours because there's some of them I knew the names but didn't know the numbers and stats. So really, really cool. All right, final question. Do you have the NASCAR or the NASCAR? I'm all
Pocono got you a little.
Spent half my life there. It seems like lately. Do you have the Bible ready? The Knoxville Nationals, the August edition of Speed Sport. Is that ready and all set? Is it at the printers or is it out or where's it?
Oh yeah, they're on their way. We'll have a bunch of them at Knoxville, of course, next week. We're going to have some cool people hanging out at our booth. I know Daniel Lasowski said he's going to come by and visit at the booth for a while and sign some autographs. Doty was telling me yesterday he's going to be there, and he said he's got some brand new shirts that he's bringing out. So make sure you come by the Speed Sport booth at the Knoxville Nationals. We'll be right there in the main midway as we usually are. It's going to be such a fun week. Of course, you know, we're a big part of the World Challenge, the Speed Sport World Challenge that takes place on Friday night. So this is a huge, huge week for us. It's the biggest thing we do all year, and we wouldn't do it anywhere but Knoxville. That's how much it means to all of us, as I know it does to all your listeners. And listen, that doesn't take anything away from all the other great sprint car tracks out there. That's not what we're saying. We just all know it's like Indianapolis, right, or Daytona.
Yep, you're right.
There's just something about getting the whole gang together, and that's all of us that love sprint car racing, the promoters, the racers, the fans, and we all get an opportunity over these 4 days to gather in one place, talk about how much we all love this sport, and then go back to the other places that we enjoy, whether it's Chico or Lernerville or wherever it might be, Kokomo, and just get back to racing throughout the summer and have that great week together. So I can't wait to see everybody there.
The band will be back together next week. And next week also here on Wing Nation, we will have the front row starters and let the debating begin there as well. Ralph, as always, we appreciate it, and we'll look forward to catching up next week.
I can't wait for you to buy me a pork sandwich and a piece of pie, and you and I can sit there and chat about which one of us got row one right.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that. We'll plan on both of them, that's for sure. Sounds good, Ralph. Thanks.
See you guys.
Yep, Ralph Sheheen joining us from Speed Sport. We need to. This debate. I'm telling you, I want to get right into it now, but I can't because T-Mac is on the line. We need to step away. Terry McCarl joins us next.
Hi, I'm Dale Blaney, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and catch all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
O'Reilly. Need auto parts but can't get to a store right now? Head to O'ReillyAuto.com. Buy your parts online and pick them up in any of the 4,600 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ever wish your kid came with an instruction manual? I'm behavioral therapist James Lehman, and I'll show you how to change your child's behavior now with the Total Transformation, the program that helps stop defiance, backtalking, lying, acting out in school, even problems with ADD and ADHD. There's no screaming, no fighting, no frustration. Your child will listen to you again. I guarantee it.
Change your child's behavior now with the Total Transformation. Call now. 1-800-406-2945. 1-800-406-2945.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon, and now back to Wing Nation.
Thank you, Jeff. Welcome back. We're just giddy. I'll be honest with you. We're giddy because the Knoxville Nationals is coming up. We've been talking about it. We just had Ralph Sheheen on talking about it, and we can't go to Knoxville without thinking about our friend T-Mac, who I know is all fired up about the Knoxville Nationals as well, and Oskaloosa, of course, and those things. So Terry McCarl joins us on the line. Hello, T-Mac. How are you?
Great. Great to be on.
Terry, we certainly want to talk Knoxville, and we obviously want to talk about Oskaloosa, but a lot going on with you over the last few days along the way with what's happening. Any comments, thoughts? Where does this put you going forward? Where are you at right now on a Tuesday afternoon with what's going on? And like I said, and I know going forward you got a lot on your plate. Where are you at with everything, Terry?
Well, I'm at KBOE Radio show over here and talk about the Front Row Challenge. That's where I'm at. But.
There we go. Okay, that's very fair. Very fair.
Everything just really busy this time of year, and just got so much going on. For a normal team, trying to run the 3 nationals or 410 nationals, and then both my sons are racing, and then throw in trying to promote an event. It's pretty tough on me and the missus, but somehow we make it through.
Before we get really talking about next week, I wanted to bring up your win this past weekend. Tell us about your sprint win at Hancock County Speedway.
Well, that NFL feels it's like a mini outlaw series. I think if you clone Donnie Schatz somehow and throw him in there, it's just as tougher than the Outlaws. There's so many good cars and drivers and teams there. So to pick up an NFL win, it's pretty awesome. And especially like I wanted to hear and not running the full deal, it's pretty good feeling to beat those guys. Like I said, it's pretty tough competition and some great teams. And now you throw in a guy like Kerry Madsen, run with regular guys too, Sammy and the bunch. So Kerry's been on a pretty hot streak, and with Ian, so it makes us realize that we've kind of struggled. We won that outlaw show at Knoxville, and and beat Donnie and started right next to him a couple times. We were able to beat him. And, we're pretty pumped up. We haven't done much since. So for my team and for me and Doug Rankin, my crew chief, it was pretty big for us to get a win under our belt and be able to beat those guys. I think they're kind of peaking right now. We've been kind of struggling, so it's good for us to get going back in the right direction, I think, before the Nationals.
Timing is good, that's for sure. You mentioned it. We'll take it a little bit here, at least in chronological order. Coming up this weekend, the 360 Nationals. How are you set up for the 360 Nationals as you go for another win and what's just a huge race out there at Knoxville?
Well, I got the same exact car that I won with last year, and the same exact motor from Jamie Moyle and Don Longstairs Boat Telephone Company. Nice and low, and so I don't have a 360. We really don't run that many 360s. So Don's nice enough to let us borrow this thing from him, and my good buddy Jamie built it. So that was big for me last year to win the 360 Nationals, mainly for those guys. Jamie's been a friend of mine for years and years, and real hard-working, honest guy, and I wanted to show everybody how fast his engines were, and they're extremely fast right now. So I was pretty proud to win it for Jamie and for Don, but we're looking forward to defending it. So we're going to be there. We're going to qualify Thursday. I normally go on Fridays, but Carson, my son's going Friday. We'll go Thursday, and then we'll be back Saturday night to defend our title, hopefully.
Terry, you mentioned you've struggled a little bit this year, and you haven't been running Knoxville weekly like you have in the past. Do you still have that confidence going into the 360 Nationals and, of course, the 410 Nationals?
Well, Brian Brown, mechanic, was telling me, you got to run Knoxville to get ready for the Nationals. I said, well, Donnie Schatz, I think, was only here once last year, and he did pretty well at the Nationals. So I've been to Knoxville quite a bit in my life, and as a boy growing up, I've seen a lot of races there, and I think we can, adapt pretty quickly. And then the thing about the Nationals really is the Duncans, and when you're away from somebody for a while, you kind of realize how much you appreciate them or didn't appreciate them when you're there. But the Duncans are definitely the best in the business. And what they do at the Knoxville Nationals, all those nights in a row, I've seen them do some pretty amazing things, especially when they get a little rain or something like that. But really, to be honest with you, as a local driver, you don't really get that kind of a track. It becomes a lot of times like a wet, slick racetrack, and it's not really the type of track you ever see on a local level. So the local guys really at the Nationals don't have a bit of an advantage, I don't think. And the outlaw guys are so used to just adapting to whatever's thrown at them. So, again, I think the Nationals track generally isn't something we see locally anyway.
It is. And what the Duncans do absolutely boggles my mind. It's like you come back every night and the track is phenomenal and track is so much fun. Terry, in the middle of Knoxville, right in the middle of the 360 Nationals and the 410 Nationals, are what you are now calling the one night stand for $20,000, which I love that. Putting a lot of money on the line. It is the biggest party in all of sprint car racing. What's going on at Oskaloosa on Monday night?
Well, this year's the 21st annual Price Chopper Front Row Challenge, and it's presented by Musco. So we're pretty excited to have Price Chopper grocery stores on board, and they're opening up a lot of new stores in the Des Moines area and moving north in the Midwest here. And so we're pretty excited to have them on board and representing them. And, $20,000, like I said to you before, Postman, that's not a lot of money to you, but to most of the guys around here, that's quite a bit of change. But it's fun to watch people. A guy even like Brad Sweet, who's won a lot of races, win that thing and get out and get that belt. I think it's the coolest trophy in all of sprint car racing, really, the belt we give out, the championship belt. It's the real deal. It's just like a UFC belt. So we changed it up this year. I redesigned it, and I got Oski off the front, so I think it looks pretty cool. So got a new design on the belt and a lot of money up for grabs, and we just do a lot of fun things. We give out 5 television sets to lucky fans if they catch a Frisbee from the guy that wins a heat race. One of the things I really like, local Des Moines Snap-on dealers give me a nice 3/8 impact set to give away to the mechanic of the race. Those mechanics never catch any. They never get to kiss the trophy girls and things like that. They don't get the accolades. So it's kind of fun to have a mechanic of the race award too. We just do a lot of fun things. We got 200 or 300 shirts to throw out and 3,000 or 4,000 Mardi Gras beads, and just we try our hardest to make it a fun time for everybody involved.
It is such a great event that you put on. Honestly, it's one that I look forward to every year, even as a spectator, because the infield is just as fun as driving, really.
I think you got a top 10 there, too, Erin, didn't you?
I did. My first year there. It was very cool. Yeah. Awesome track.
If you won, I was going to be the trophy boy.
All right.
Wow. There we go.
I don't know if I'm stepping back in the car, but appreciate the offer.
No. If you'd have won that night, I was going to be. I was ready for it.
That night.
Awesome. All right. You mentioned Price Chopper as a sponsor, and I saw they're also going to be on your Knoxville car with a really cool paint scheme. Tell us about your paint scheme for the Nationals.
Well, my dad passed away in March, and I was going to try to keep it a secret as long as I could from my mom, and she found out. And I'm really just doing it for my family and to remember my dad. And, a lot of people know him as the Black 7X. That's what he had Rocky Hodges and Randy Smith. And Jimmy Sills and all those great drivers that he had. It was always a black number 7X. But, growing up as a boy, I always knew him as the blue and white 7X. So we're going to try to replicate that car. I'm actually going to have that car that he had the best year ever in 1975 with. He built it himself and actually got injured really bad in it in 74. And it's been restored. My good friend Gary Dean owns it. We're going to have it out front of my T-shirt trailer sitting there on Wednesday of the 410 Nationals. And I'll have my car that I'm going to run that looks like his sitting out there too. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be, something neat for my family. And if we could win it in the 7X, it'd make it even a lot more special.
Wow, I couldn't imagine. I mean, and you win it out there in Knoxville, and they'll just burn the place down. I mean, the fans will lose their minds. I mean, it's if Krager, our producer Krager and I, if you're leading on the white flag lap, Krager, we need to head for the gates because they'll destroy that place, which would be one of the greatest stories in the history of Knoxville. If you can pull it off next Saturday night there at the Knoxville Nationals. Terry, you mentioned something, and we've had so many great conversations over the year about what's just going on in the sport and across the board, whether it's what's going on with tires or wings or technical stuff, what's going on with sponsors. And something struck me. You're able to get Price Chopper involved with your program. It's the 5-hour Knoxville Nationals. It's the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars. Are you finding that maybe a little bit more mainstream companies again now are swinging back the pendulum, and we're getting a little look from these people?
Yeah, I think so. I think I think it's been proven to those guys time and time again that race fans are very loyal. I think, in the past, like I've always said, if I choose to go to Casey's General Store or someone else, I always go to Casey's for all they've done for sprint car racing and what Don Lamberti's done for the national thing. So I think that they're real America that comes to the tracks. They're very loyal to their products and their companies that support us. So, and it's really, the game of things, it's a pretty inexpensive place for them to advertise, really.
Yeah, across the board, it really is. It's very, very good cost business. All right, Terry, we need to cut you loose here, but where can folks go get those Oski tickets?
Well, if you're in the Knoxville area, you can get an infield party pass at Slideways Karting Center and save $5 a ticket. But you can call our office or go to the OskiChallenges.com. Call our office at 515-957-0020 and get great seats. It looks like Kyle Larson might be coming, and Rico and the Blaney's, and we got a lot of great talent, the whole NFL gang, and they got some great drivers there. So it's going to be an unbelievable field of cars, and it's going to be a great night of racing.
It is going to be phenomenal. Terry, thanks for your time. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank you.
There we go. That's Terry McCarl joining us here, T-Mac joining us on the program. From a guy that just wins everything all the time, one of the big marquee names of the sport. We're going to step away because when we come back, we're going to introduce a lot of you. I know some of you in the Wisconsin area probably know this guy, but picked up the win on Friday night with the IRA. Steve Meyer, he joins us next.
Hi, I'm Craig Kinzer, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Plan now for the 38th Annual ATCO Jackson Nationals. 3 big days, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Come out and see the stars of the Lucas Oil AFCS 360 Sprint Car Series, the National Sprint League 410 Sprint Cars, and the HRA Non-Wing Sprint Cars. Watch Daniel Ossowski, Brian Brown, Sammy Swindell, Ian Matson, Erin Reitzel, Johnny Herrera, and many more of the nation's best sprint car drivers. Compete for $25,000 to win the NSL 410s and $10,000 to win the ASCS 360. Get a 3-day combo pass for just $75. Order your reserve tickets online at JacksonMotorplex.com. The all-new Jackson Motorplex in Jackson, Minnesota. Just be there.
Ready to take the training wheels off your race scanner? Go to fanvision.com and upgrade your experience with FanVision. Not only will you be able to hear the race,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets a good run, drafting help from Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Jr. again pulls up alongside for the race lead.
you'll see every moment through live video, instant replays, live stats, and more.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 Cessna Chevrolet, and I never go to the track without my FanVision. So go to fanvision.com to rent or buy yours today.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew wear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink at the track and on your back.
Time now for a look at a great American dirt track presented by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
I'm Ashley Stremme. Retired driver Brett Moreland had an idea for a track. In the winter of 1959, he built a quarter-mile dirt track called Watsonville Speedway in the infield of a half-mile horse track in Watsonville, California. The first race took place on May 27, 1960, and since then, many well-known dirt racers and NASCAR drivers have raced the track, including Ray Elder, the 1965 track champion, Ernie Irvan, Bobby Allison, Ken Schrader, Kenny Wallace, Kyle Larson, Riku Abreu, and Steve Kinzer. In 2006, local driver John Prentice began operating the track and renamed it Ocean Speedway. Following a lawsuit by local residents who claimed the track was a nuisance due to the car noise, the track has flourished with weekly sprint car, modified, and stock car racing. The track also hosts the World of Outlaws, King of the West, Civil War, USAC, and Wingless Sprint Traveling Series. The track also hosts 5 police and pursuit races a year, in which local law enforcement agencies compete in retired police vehicles to raise money for the Special Olympics of Northern California. Ocean Speedway, a great American dirt track brought to you by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
Oh, it's great to hear from Ashley, as always. And by the way, Ocean Speedway, if you want to share your Ocean Speedway memories, you can go to facebook.com/WingNation, and we'll have a link up there in just a little bit where you can share your favorite Ocean Speedway memories. We love when we hear stories like this, and occasionally we do run into stories like this, where someone just steps up and wins, and we follow along. And I believe right now, actually, we're having some technical difficulties, so we're going to throw back to a commercial break here because, well, quite honestly, Erin and I can't even hear anything here. So stay with us. We're working through some technical difficulties. We'll be back with MRN Wing Nation in just a moment.
Hey, this is Jason Sides, and you're listening to Steve and Kendra on Wing Nation.
The National
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease? Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a
Post and Erin Evernham.
back. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire here on the Motor Racing Network. We appreciate you hanging in there with us. Just a little bit of glitches here with some technical stuff, but we're working our way through it, and everything is good. Let's go to the guest line because I really am trying to get my arms around all that happened up at Langlade County Speedway in Antigua, Wisconsin. And, well, why not talk to the guy that won the race? Steve Meyer joins us on the phone. Hello, Steve. Welcome to Wing Nation.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good for us, but I guess it's going better for you. Congratulations on that win Friday night.
Yeah, it was, it was a long time coming. I've run second there a lot, and I've raced there quite a bit, as much as possible. And, it was bittersweet to end up in victory lane after how many years of defeat on the last lap,
No
Steve,
doubt.
I read a really cool story about you I think in Victory Lane you talked about it. 24 years ago you were there when the track was just showing an exhibition race, and you had a cool family story.
Yeah, that was the deal. We were going to do the first fair show there back in, it was 23 years ago, but we were going to do the first fair show, and the promoter asked me if I would go up there and put some laps on to get the people interested, and I said, sure, I'll go up there, and he offered me money at the time. I don't remember if he ever paid me or not, but I did go up there, and I remember leaving. My wife was pregnant and due with our second daughter, and she said, nah, you can go ahead and go, but I could see the look in her eye, and actually we went up there, we put on a couple laps, and I said to my two crew guys, I said, we need to hit the road, and we got back just in time. I walked in the house, and she said, we're going to the hospital, and about 2 hours later, my daughter was born.
Oh my gosh, that is really
Cool
really
story.
cool. Now that is so great. Now this racetrack, does it host one race a year? What's the story with this racetrack? Because it's not one we see you guys going to all the time.
No, they do their county fair show, which is the one show we get a year there. They used to run the Forest County Potawatomi Indians used to run the place, and they kind of backed out. It used to run late models every Friday night, and then we'd get there, probably about twice a year. But since they shut it down and it only runs during this fair last weekend in July, that's the only show that's put on there. There's not quite enough fan base to justify it staying open, weekly. So.
Steve, the press release said that you made some pretty daring moves in lap traffic to win the race. What was going through your mind when you had the lead and you knew in the past haven't come out on top?
Yeah. I've been lap traffic is always a real obstacle there, just because the track isn't real wide, and they tend to run right in the middle. The lap cars tend to run right in the middle of the track. The slower guys, and when you're coming up on them, you're going so much faster that it's tough to make a pass, and you really gotta grab a hold and go. And I knew that had to be done this time because it's what bit me the last two times I was there.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, it really is. What we do on and how we got the story of this, the IRA sends us press releases and such, and we see those and we check those out. But what we do on our Facebook page is we do, what was the best thing you saw last night? And I believe it was your daughter that posted on that, which is where we first kind of got wind of this. It looked like you had a pretty good celebration there in Victory Lane, Steve, with the family.
Oh, yeah. My oldest daughter, which unfortunately wasn't able to be there, she lives down in central Indiana, but my other daughter and my wife were there, and my crew. Most of those guys on my crew have been with me for, 27 years, as long as I've been in a sprint car. So
27 years in a sprint car. My gosh, you've seen a lot of sprint car races then over the course of time.
Yeah, I had a couple vacations in between there. I had a year, a couple of those years I took a year off I had started my own business and stuff, and I had to take off a little bit, and then I had cancer for a year, and I had to take off a year for that. But, otherwise it's I would say out of the 27, we raced somewhere around 25. So, but yeah, we've run in the Midwest all over the place, so.
Wow, that's incredible.
Man.
Yeah, Erin, you and I started side by side on the front row at Hartford at Outlaw Show one night, and you beat me down the front straightaway.
She did that to a lot of guys, Steve.
I tried. That's awesome. So what do you have coming up next? What's on the agenda for you?
We're going to run this Friday night at the Dodge County Fairgrounds, which is another big half mile, which we really like too, and then we'll go right to my backyard in Plymouth, Wisconsin. We got it's a little quarter mile with real tight corners. We'll run that on Saturday, and obviously we take, at IRA takes a week off for the Nationals, and I'll go down there on Friday and Saturday just to watch, because we got business is pretty booming, so we got to keep our mind on that.
What is your business, if you don't mind me asking?
I do electrical contracting and utility construction, so we do a lot of electrical utilities and electrical work, period.
Man, that is so cool. We just love the story. We really do, Steve. Your perseverance, your persistence, and we don't love that they get away from you race car drivers. But when they get away from you and you finally grab one of them, it makes it a really great story. We appreciate you taking some time out today and chatting with us here on MRN Wing Nation. Continued success, and thanks for the time.
Yep, thank you very much for having me.
There we go. That is Steve Meyer joining us here on. That is really, really cool. That's what I love about sprint car racing, is because we have the rock stars of the sports, the Terry McCarls of the world, and and guys like that and gals like that we talk to all the time. But in so many places, there are so many more Steves out there.
There are.
That are just racing on Friday, Saturday night, IRA, MOA, wherever it is, California, Lernerville. It's just amazing.
And have done it a lifetime and put so much time and money.
27 years.
Yeah.
He's whooped cancer.
Yeah, a good friend of mine who actually passed away a few years back, Dick Spadero, he raced ESS for years, and for him to get a top 5 or a top 10, but he just loved it, and he helped everyone that came to the series. There's so many people like that in sprint car racing.
There are. It is really, really cool, and I'm just glad we caught up with Steve. One of his daughters sent us the note on Facebook, which kind of, when we see that there, when you see a good story, you kind of just jump up and sparks an interest, and because we get all the press releases, but we get 100 press releases of the weekend, and it's like, okay, there's IRA, there's this, there's that, and everything, but when something jumps out, and that's why we love the Facebook, that's why we love our Tweet Your Seats that we do on our MAV show. We love all of that because it helps us keep an eye, whether you're at home in Mooresville, I'm at Pocono or Rain Delay or whatever it is. It allows us to just follow along and find out what's going on, and we get great stories like that. Really cool talking to Steve about that win and really his racing career. We need to step away now. When we come back, we're going to talk to a buddy of ours. You catch him regularly in Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. Those of you in Pennsylvania, catch him when he proclaims it is showtime at the Williams Grove Speedway. Bruce Ellis, he joins us next.
I'm Danny Holcraver, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Business is a lot like racing. It takes a strong team of pros to succeed. That's why Freightliner Trucks created TeamRunSmart.com, a free online community that connects owner-operators with the trucking industry's A-team. The Team Run Smart pros and coaches help maximize your profitability with real-world advice on everything from fuel-efficient speccing to healthy eating to filing taxes. Sign up today to earn rewards and connect with fellow truckers at TeamRunSmart.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
This is Tony Stewart. You're listening to Winged Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Thank you, Tony. Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire here on Motor Racing Network. So glad you've joined us as we're covering the spectrum of it and getting closer and closer to the Knoxville Nationals. Mm-hmm. And last week, I went to the mailbox, grabbed my Sprint Car and Midget magazine, and like I said with Speed Sport with Ralph, and Sprint Car and Midget is like, well, just count the next 90 minutes out because I'm going to sit down with it and just kind of hang out and see what's happening. And great Knoxville preview penned by our buddy Bruce Ellis, who joins us on the line. Hello, Bruce. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Hey, Steve. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Bruce, I want to talk Knoxville Nationals with you, but my golly, up at your home track, up at Williams Grove, it seems like every week between Donnie Kreitz and Lance DeWeese and Davey Brown or Freddie Raymer, it just seems like you have got great stories coming out of Williams Grove every Friday night.
That really was a great story last week. Of course,
yeah.
The name Raymer has been in victory lane so many times over the years, 90 to be exact, and became 91 with a different Freddie in victory lane last Friday, Little Freddie. Freddie the second picked up his first 410 win at Williams Grove, and then he really turned in a great ride to get it.
That was awesome. I love the victory lane shot of Fred and Freddie. It was a special moment for Williams Grove Speedway.
Oh, I could tell it was really a special moment for Big Fred. He said that was probably his proudest moment ever in Williams Grove, and of course he's had some great moments in his own right, but he was really proud of his son, and he had a right to be.
I remember years back Fred telling me there's no way he was going to let Freddie get into a sprint car. He had to race late models, and that didn't last very long.
No, Fred's been known to change his mind on occasion.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk Knoxville Nationals. I loved your preview in Sprint Car and Midget magazine, and I love how you put like favorites Donnie Schatz, and he had his own little section this year.
He deserves it. I mean, how can we even list a co-favorite after what he's done, winning 9 out of the last 10, and he was at Knoxville twice this year. He ran second and won. So it's hard. It wouldn't be fair to Donnie. It would be disrespectful, I think, to put anybody down as a co-favorite.
You know, I think it's interesting, and I agree with you. And it's just it's anybody but Schatz. That's the sentiment there. But if you're not picking, even when we did our race picks last year, we said you can't pick Donnie Schatz. You got to pick other ones. But when we look at who you have as contenders, okay, you have Brian Brown, who's a Midwesterner, David Gravel, who's a World of Outlaw guy, Kyle Larson, who's a NASCAR guy, Kerry Madsen, who's kind of the true outlaw, Shane Stewart, World of Outlaws, Brad Sweet. I think what's fascinating about our sport is it's a great mix of who we all consider to be contenders.
I think you're absolutely right. Maybe 10 years ago, we would just pencil in the top 5 outlaws, and that would be your contenders at Knoxville. That's not the case anymore.
I love the column you had about the Cinderella story. Who are you thinking this year might be your Cinderella story?
Probably somebody whose name wasn't even in there. That's usually what happens. It's really hard to say who could come out of that list, but, I mean, there are any number of them. And anybody on that list is truly a possibility. One name that isn't on that list, because when we went to press, his name wasn't entered, and that would be Christopher Bell. If he shows up, I mean, he's a very good possibility to make the show. And as I said, I didn't know if he was going to be entering or not, and I still don't. So, but if Christopher Bell shows up, he'd be a possibility.
Last time I talked to him, neither did he. So I think that's fair. Yeah, your preview has 41 drivers, and there's 105 or 108 listed or entered as far as that goes. And I think that's the absolute beauty of sprint car racing. Bruce, what is the annual pilgrimage to Knoxville? What's that like for you? What does that mean as you've made that trip so many times?
This will be my 30th. And it certainly is something I look forward to all year. I really don't go to many of the big races anymore. I used to do that a lot. I really have cut back in recent years, but I still go to Knoxville because the atmosphere is one thing, but the racing is terrific also. The 8-car inversion of the heats, the fact that everything means something. From the time you come out for time trials, everything is important. Your time trial laps, of course, are super important. Got to get through your heat. If you don't get through the heat, you got to at least get through the B and do something in that preliminary night feature. And then if you miss all that stuff, you have a chance to come back Friday and do it again. I love what they've done with the Friday program. I think that's really made this the Nationals even more exciting.
We talked to Terry McCarl earlier in the show, and we talked to him about how there's a lot of big corporate sponsors that seem to be getting back into sprint car racing, or maybe into it for the first time, like Craftsman with the Outlaws, and he has Price Chopper coming for the Front Row Challenge. Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on the state of sprint car racing. I mean, you're someone who's been involved and around it for a long time, and I always like to pick your brain.
Well, I think it is worthy of corporate involvement because of the big races. I mean, the big races are drawing a lot of people and getting a lot of national exposure. The weekly programs, I'm afraid, are in more trouble than I've seen in some time. Car counts are down everywhere. And I think that's really a difficult situation. I mean, you're seeing it at Knoxville, you're seeing it at Williams Grove. They're paying really good purses at those places, and it doesn't seem to be enough to attract full fields as they used to do. So I think on the national level, things are really strong, but on the local level, maybe not so strong right now.
It is a challenge, and you're right about that. We see that, especially this time of year, as folks get tired out and budgets get tired out, really is. We're talking about Bruce Ellis here. Of course, Bruce, the longtime track announcer at Williams Grove, and, of course, you catch his work at Sprint Car and Midget magazine. We've got a copy right here, and there it is. As you watching on YouTube and on our live stream on Facebook, you can see really cool stuff. Bruce, when your worlds collide, you've got some interesting characters coming out of the state of Pennsylvania. Stevie Smith, who is one of the best in fact, he made our top 24 list of Knoxville Nationals. You got Greg Hodnett, who probably can go anywhere at any time and be a contender. And you got a couple young guys with Dietrich and Brett Marks. You've got some interesting stories coming out of your state of Pennsylvania that'll be out of Knoxville this year.
I hope so. The four that you mentioned are certainly top contenders. We don't want to forget about Lucas Wolf either.
Right, yep.
He's in that Zemco car, and I think you might be hearing something from him. He's an excellent qualifier, and anybody who can time well at Knoxville has a shot to at least make the A main. So I think Lucas has to be in that category. But we do have some good young kids coming up, and certainly Freddie Raymer, who is not going to race at Knoxville. He'll be out there with his dad and Stevie, but he is not going to race. Certainly, he is one of the up-and-comers. A kid named Brock Zierfoss has turned some heads this year. I think he's won at Williams Grove, and he is looking better every week. So we've got some young kids that are starting to make a name for themselves, and I think the talent pool is not empty in Pennsylvania. We've even got an Australian over there right now in the person of James McFadden.
Yep.
Bruce, people like Hodnett have had some success at the Knoxville Nationals, but people like Fred Raymer and Lance DeWeese, who do incredible in Pennsylvania, sometimes at Knoxville have had a little bit of trouble. Why do you think that is when they've got tracks like Williams Grove that they run out weekly? Like, what do you think the challenge is when they get to a place like Knoxville?
Totally different setup, Williams Grove and Knoxville, as you know, Erin. But
yeah.
I think they need time. They need laps at Knoxville. Greg Hodnett goes out for that the Capitani Classic, and I think that is a big help to him. Stevie's been there many times, so he's tough. Dietrich has been going to that. But in the past, Fred and Lance would just show up. Now, there were nights when they did very well. Fred, I believe, was the leading point getter on his qualifying night once, and he did win a qualifying night feature one time. Lance had a couple of top tens, but neither one of them had enough laps at Knoxville during the course of the year. The Outlaws get to go there in the past maybe more than once before the Nationals. This time, at least, it's a two-night show, so they get some laps there. And I think that hurts the Pennsylvania guys who really don't get enough laps prior to the Nationals.
And final question for you, bringing it back home again, watching, and Erin mentioned Lance DeWeese. We are watching something that is nothing short of magical with that 69K, with Donnie Kreitz, with Lance DeWeese, with Davey Brown, mechanic wrenching on that car, and you get a front row seat. In fact, you're the first one that gets to talk to him when all the great stuff happens to him. What has that been like, Bruce, as a guy who loves sprint car racing, loves the history of the sport, loves Hall of Famers? What's it been like to have a front row seat for what they've been doing this year?
Oh, it's really something special, and this is the first case of domination we have had in Pennsylvania in a long time, because this is domination.
Yeah.
They have the fastest car. Lance, of course, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer in waiting. Donnie and Davey are already in the Hall of Fame. So this is truly a super team. And I got to tell you, when they won the Summer Nationals just a couple of weeks ago, that was the second wildest victory lane I have ever been a part of. The wildest was when Fred won the National Open. But that was really wild with those guys winning. The Beer Hill contingent was out in force, banging their cymbals behind us and chanting "Go to Knoxville," and it was very emotional for Donnie and Lance. And of course, Davey never shows very much emotion, but I know he was happy too.
It is so incredible, and then three choice gentlemen right there getting a chance to do this. Bruce, we appreciate your time. Look forward to catching up with you out at Knoxville, and thanks as always for the great work with Sprint Car and Midget, and love hearing your calls at Williams Grove as well. But thanks for joining us here on MRN Wing Nation.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
There we go. That is Bruce Ellis joining us here. Man, I love chatting with him because he's just an encyclopedia of knowledge and a passion for the sport.
Yep.
Really is a passion for the sport. It's just phenomenal. Great stuff. And Bruce, by the way, a Hall of Famer too.
Yeah.
Yes,
he
indeed.
is.
And the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is located right off from turn number 2 in Knoxville, Iowa. You know, this week on birthdays is interesting because Sunday is Kyle Larson's 24th birthday. Jeff Bloom, birthday on Monday. Leon Chum on Wednesday. Thursday, Angela Howerton. Friday, Kenny Irwin Jr. and Wayne Johnson. Okay? So a lot of times we talk the historical with members of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little Larson.
Yeah.
Okay?
How can you not?
Exactly. I mean, this kid, and it's like this one thing he can't seem to get is this NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win. So close again yesterday at Pocono. I mean, and just drives the wheels off those cars. Can't quite get over that hurdle, but man, he goes to Ohio Speed Week. He's going to Knoxville. He is going to be an animal in a sprint car. What an amazing kid he is.
He really is. The first time I saw him race at Knoxville, it was a few years back. He ran the Nationals, and I think it was his first time ever there, and he won his qualifying night. It was like so impressive. I won't forget it because I'd heard the name a little bit, but this was before he came to NASCAR, and to see him first time at Knoxville, and he goes out there and he wins his qualifying night. I'm like, that's something special.
What we love about this is we certainly wish everyone huge success wherever they want to go. If it's NASCAR dreams, you pursued that. If it's NASCAR dreams, if it's sprint car dreams, we love everywhere we want to go. What I love about Kyle is, like Casey Kane, like Tony Stewart, like Jeff Gordon, their passion, you want to ask them where their passion is. We know where their passion is. And Kyle not only fielding the car with for Shane Stewart, but then wheeling the car. I mean, it's
nice that NASCAR planned that off weekend so they can all go to Knoxville.
Boy, and I'm telling you what, one of the conversations, and I don't know, when you're in the garage area on a rain delay, you hear all of the rumors.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe grounded in fact, maybe not. One of the speculations is that they were going to, if the race got rained out on Monday, they were going to put it on the off weekend.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, you should have heard. The sprint car contingent was not happy.
Not just the drivers, but the crew guys, the media members.
Yeah, because Knoxville is going to be like I mean, there's planes of people from the NASCAR world flying out to the Knoxville Nationals this year. Clint Boyer had the Knoxville Nationals on his car.
That was very cool. Very neat to see
the
that.
5-hour energy Knoxville Nationals. Really, really cool stuff. And quite honestly, it all begins this week out at the famed Marion County Fair. Hey, before that, want to mention every week we do the Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week, and this actually goes back to our conversation last week with Mark Dobmeyer. And I realized what he was doing because I asked him about the two-seater program. But then I've kind of and Mark shared with us. He does this two-seater rides at River City, but the proceeds from this go to benefit the Relay for Life, which is the American Cancer Society of Grand Forks.
Yeah.
And so he is doing this. So our Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week, and we circle this around childhood pediatric cancer is where we're focused on because that's what the Jeff Gordon Foundation works on. But we're going to go with Mark Dobmeyer, our Person of the Week. So
I thought that was really neat when I read that, and it said, some of the money goes back into just keeping the car
right. Sure,
up
no
because
doubt.
obviously that's not cheap, but all the proceeds go to Relay for Life.
Relay for Life, exactly. So really cool stuff. And we like to mention this also in talking, and I had a chance a couple weeks ago to hang out with the folks from the Jeff Gordon Foundation. This is a terrible disease. Pediatric cancer is a terrible disease. And sadly, there may be someone watching this or listening to this that may end up facing with it. Go to jeffgordonfoundation.org. A lot of resources there, a lot of really neat stuff. You're not alone, and I think that's the one thing it brings. So Jeff Gordon Foundation, our Kick It Person of the Week is Mark Dobmeyer, and go to jeffgordonfoundation.org and just learn more about this brutal disease. They have, of course, the Kick It games coming up. They have the Kick It karting event next Thursday at Slideways.
Yes.
And then the kickball game where Tony Stewart is going to be one of the coaches, and Jeff Gordon's going to be the other coach.
I can't wait to see this.
And I think they're going to be pitching. I think the coaches pitch.
Oh, gosh, that could even be more entertaining.
So you're going to be fielding them from Tony or from Jeff.
Because, race car drivers are not always the best stick and ball sports players.
No, not at all. No, not at all. No.
So come out and watch the entertainment.
Yeah, because, when Jeff is in really good shape. But I don't see him as another guy, Jimmy Johnson, who's a freak that, does. I don't see Jeff that way. I see Jeff in really good shape. Tony's in better shape now. Tony's in one of those cycles where he's in good shape now, but I've never seen him as he does. He goes by, he knows. We know.
Just made me laugh.
Yes, exactly. It starts this week. Now, Kendra Jacobs, co-host of this show, she is starting this thing off. This weekend, it's the 26th annual Arnold Motor Supply 360 Nationals. 95 cars.
That's awesome.
The last time. Okay, Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour race, which she is kicking the party off. She has thrown down the gauntlet Thursday night. $1 Bud Lights.
Oh, boy.
Thirsty
Way
Thursday.
To kick it off.
Yeah, exactly. That's get the hangover started early because it starts Thursday. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 3-night format. The big one on Saturday night. T-Mac is the reigning champ of this one. It is the 26th annual Arnold Motor Supply 360 Nationals. Sunday night, it's the Cappy Classic. This thing has drawn 75 or 80 cars for one night of racing. Because of what Bruce Ellis talked about. It's
laps.
A lot of time. It's
the first time I ever gotten a 410 was the Cappy Classic because we were going to run the Nationals. I had never driven a 410, and what better place to practice and prep?
Right there at Knoxville.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the Capitani Classic is Sunday night. Monday night, it's the one-night stand for $20,000. It's the Front Row Challenge. It's a National Sprint League race, $20,000. T-Mac, go there, get beads. You can win a television. What T-Mac puts on, it's the biggest party in sprint car racing.
Yeah, go to the infield. You won't
go to
be
the
disappointed.
infield, exactly. Go to the infield. So really, really good. And the next week, it's the 5-hour energy Knoxville Nationals. We are going to be there each and every night, 6 to 7 on the main stage. The Sprint Car Hall of Fame right there off turn number 2. Kicking events along the way. All kinds of great stuff. And by the way, Port Royal this Saturday night. Listen to this. Living Legends Night. $10,000 to win. They're honoring Randy Wolf and the Zemco team. They're honoring those folks as well. We're out of here. We'll talk to you soon.
You've been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.